God, what year is it? Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to, let me make sure I got this right. True Lab Origins comic dub by Agent Zero Fluffy. This is a donation reward for Isabella, and yeah, it is a Undertale comic dub. You know, the game that came out well over a decade ago at this point. Was a huge smash hit in terms of indie games and has developed a very slow releasing pseudo sequel called Deltarune that supposedly is going to have 2 chapters releasing this year. Toby Fox said 100% guaranteed it will. We will see. But I have a lot of thoughts on Undertale. Because when this game came out, I was huge into it, just like everyone was. It was so cool, it was so interesting. It had a new take on an RPG that did things a lot differently and kind of deconstructed a lot about it. Looking back on it, it wasn't necessarily as revolutionary as we kind of played it up to be at the time. But it's also had phenomenal character work. It had a great story. It was interesting. Plus, it was fun to play. It had a lot of great battles, a lot of great exploration, and even some good secrets here and there. It was just a really fun, good, well-made game. And so the fandom kind of exploded. The fandom went from just enjoying the game to creating all these comics, all these theories, all these OCs, etc., etc., etc. A lot of fan songs, and it became massive. The explosion that this fandom experienced was probably one of the biggest in internet history. I would say Has Been Hotel is a fraction as big as Undertale's was in its prime. Undertale's fandom was so massive that you couldn't go anywhere online without seeing a million posts a minute about it. Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, DeviantArt, everywhere. It was everywhere. And again, I was a big part of this myself. I got really into it. I had OCs. I did fan art and stuff, even if it was shit. I was very into it. I even created a website at one point, for one of those fan made alternate universes, AUs for Undertale. There were a shit ton of those, by the way. And it, kind of creating my own fan fiction and stories based on it there. I had maybe a couple friends who joined me there and a couple people from other social medias and stuff, but it never took off, and I kind of lost interest after a while. And part of the reason I lost interest in Undertale after a while was because it became way too aggressively oversaturated. It's one of those cases where the overpopularity of it actually did really start to bother me. And this has happened in various cases elsewhere as well. I mentioned Has Been Hotel already. The popularity of certain characters within that series really just it's weird to explain, because it's not that I hate the characters exactly. And it's not even that I hate that they're popular. I hate how obsessive everyone gets over it, and it kind of makes me resent the characters because of that. The biggest case with Has Been Hotel is Alistair. The Alistair fans are so aggressively obsessive to the point where it feels unhealthy. And it makes me resent the character because it feels wrong to like the character when everything I'm seeing from that character's fans is honestly really unhealthy and kind of disturbing. And so it gives me this kind of flawed perception of the character. And the same thing can absolutely happen for the piece of media itself. And that's kind of what happened for Undertale. It became people became so obsessive over it that I started to get creeped out. And don't get me wrong, there's still aspects of the fandom that I love. There are still certain fan songs like Fishy Love that I absolutely adored. Um, and various things here and there. And when Deltarune came out, I loved that honestly more. I know that might be an unpopular opinion, but I think Deltarune is a vastly better made game. Like, it is just better made because Toby and his small team took what they learned from making Undertale and took what people have said and everything and, improved. It's much better made. You can still prefer Undertale, but I think it's a better game in terms of how it's designed. Um, but this comic dub is called True Lab Origins. Let's actually get back on topic here. But I felt like I should give like my backstory with Undertale. This comic dub is titled True Lab Origins, and the True Lab is a specific location in the game that is not accessible on your first playthrough, I think. Because the True Lab is only accessible in a pure pacifist run, I believe. And the only way you can access it is having already done a neutral run. I think. I believe so. Or no, 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 no. No, I'm thinking of something else, I think. But this is something that you wouldn't normally think to do because I think you have to go back after a certain point to Alphys's lab, and that's when you can go to it. And it's like at the very end after you beat the game, Flowey tells you that you were forgetting to do that you didn't go back for her. And so you start up the game again and you go back to the lab, something you just never thought about doing, and that's when you can discover it. But I think you do have to. I don't know if you actually have to beat the game first. I don't know if it like unlocks after you get that notice from Flowey and everything. I don't remember. It's been a while since I've played it or seen it played. So either way, either way. So yeah, you go back to the lab and you can find Alphys's true lab, and which reveals a huge amount of lore and everything about just what's been happening down in the underground and certain aspects of the kingdom and their attempts to escape and whatnot, to harness certain powers, as well as it reveals a lot about the past. It's like this big revelation. Now, True Lab Origins, I mean, makes me assume that it's going to talk about the origins of the True Lab and how that all came about, which we get in the game. We get to find out about that, but it doesn't go into like detail or anything. It just kind of briefly touches on it with the stuff you find out. Um, I mean, at this point, I don't have to worry about spoilers. It's been so long. It's been over a decade. So fuck it. If you're really worried about spoilers, just, I guess, skip ahead or skip to the reaction, which is linked in the description below, as always. Just due to copyrights and bullshit. But yeah. Um, I in Undertale, you are playing as a human who fell down, and Flowey is actually the trapped soul of the prince of the kingdom, you find out. And Flowey is trapped down there because in the past there was another human who came here. That human became kind of like an adopted sibling to Flowey's original form, Azrael. And at one point they managed to go to the surface, and this caused both of their deaths. Azrael was killed by the humans up there after I believe the I think Kara was actually killed first. Again, I'm trying to remember all this from a while back. I think Kara is killed first. Azrael goes up to the surface with Kara's body, I think, and tries to get the humans there to help, but they don't help, and they end up attacking Azrael, which causes his death, and he like comes back down with Kara's body. It's this entire thing, and afterwards, Azrael's soul is like put into the flower by Alphys in the True Lab, and that's how Flowey is born. And Flowey ends up like kind of losing his sense of self and his memories and whatnot as time goes on. And it's this whole ass thing. Again, if I'm getting any specifics of these details wrong, I apologize. It's been quite a while since I've played it myself or watched anyone else play it. So if I'm getting like the exact specifics wrong, I apologize. But yeah, it's this entire thing where the True Lab is basically trying to help like figure everything out with souls and get everyone out of the underground. Alphys is, I believe, was doing all this on Asgore's orders. But maybe I'll touch on that in this comic dub. Anyway, last thing I want to touch on before we get this started is I don't normally react to a lot of comic dubs, and I don't normally, watch comic dubs or read comics because I'm personally not the biggest fan of comics as a medium. I don't find enjoyment in them. And comic dubs, from my experience, are usually very boring, for lack of a better word. I just don't find entertainment in them. They come across as just either super boring to me or just, random amateur-made comic dubs where it's like, it's just one person dubbing every character in like the same voice. And it's not for me. It's not for me. But this was a request, like I said, by Isabella. And it's actually been on my list for a while. I'm finally getting to it. I don't know quite what to expect. I don't know what kind of, I guess, fan theory or whatnot this is going to go into. I don't know, the ideas behind it outside of just the basic concept. I guess we're going to find out. So, yeah, like I said, this is redirected, though, because of copyright issues, because YouTube doesn't understand copyright, and neither do the companies that kind of force it to do what it does. So we really have to just do what we can. So redirecting is just the easiest way. It allows you to see the full uncut reaction. So yeah, all of that is going to be down in the description below. And then you can come back here because the redirect will also include my afterthoughts after I've reacted to it. But yeah. So if you're new to the channel, just wanted to give you a little explanation of how this all works there. I hope you enjoy the reaction. Let's get to it. Hold up just a second there. Before you click that link in the description below to go to today's reaction, I want to take the moment to remind you of all the awesome content we have on the channel. Between Monday and Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions, with 2 every day except Thursday. We also have movie reactions every Saturday and Sunday. I do pre-record them during the week, but upload them on the weekend. And don't forget about all the awesome gaming content over on the Princessa Gaming channel. Every day of the week we have some awesome Let's Plays, we have streams, we have all kinds of great content. And please, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and to like this video if you want to see more awesome content such as this. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's get to today's video. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, this was both an origin and kind of the aftermath of everything. It showed how it all started, and showed how it ended after, you know, Frisk went to the True Lab and everything. It's, I mean, stuff we kind of already knew about. Like, nothing in this is, like, revolutionary or, like, fan theory or new information. It's more like just giving a visual representation of something that we didn't get to see visually in the course of the game. It's something we only learned about through, like, data logs and whatnot in the True Lab and through Alphys herself. And so it gives a visual to that. The art is very nice. I really like the art. It's really well done. And the comic itself absolutely gets the vibe right. It gets Alphys's reaction to it. Like, that is how Alphys would react. Her personality is spot on. All the other characters' personalities seem spot on from what we know of them. The kind of body horror aspect of it is definitely not as aggressive as it could be. Because it just kind of, they just kind of become super sticky and just kind of melt together, but you don't even really see it happening. It shows, like, the beginning stages of it, but then it, like, kind of cuts away until they're already amalgamated. And it's like, it keeps it from going too dark, which, depending on who you are, is either a good or a disappointing thing. I'm fine with it. I feel like it fits the tone of Undertale a little more to keep it like this, where it's like, it's still excessively dark and it's still very clearly upsetting, but they don't go too far to where it would just feel kind of out of place. The voicing, which also amounted for, like, certain sound effects and stuff, was very amateurish. It's what you expect from, let's be honest, a YouTube comic dub. It's very rare that you find one that's, like, high quality, where it's like, oh, the person doing this is actually a voice actor. No, it's usually, like, just some random person, some random fan who decided to dub it in order to have a dub for, I guess, people who might not want to read the comic otherwise. I don't know. Again, this isn't usually my kind of medium. I don't usually read comics. I don't usually watch comic dubs, so don't mind me if I don't quite understand the appeal here. Like I said, the story itself as to what was happening was already entirely stuff we knew about. Even who, like, the amalgamations were kind of made up of, we knew that. So there's no surprise there. There's no new information. So there's not really too much for me to say. Again, I really liked the visuals. The art was fantastic. Like, it's just really, really good character art for Undertale. Definitely give the comic artist props for that. The comic dub itself is just like, it exists. I don't have any strong opinions on it. I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm supposed to say. Because it's like, it's just like two amateur YouTubers dubbing something, dubbing a comic. They're just reading a comic, basically, out loud. It's like anybody who does reactions to comics is doing literally the same thing. It's not that impressive or special or interesting. It's there's like no flavor added to it. Like the person, it's not reacting as if like they're giving their opinion or anything. They're just reading it, and it's not like high level voice acting, so it's not something to talk about like the performance in that regard. So I don't really know what I'm supposed to say here. My thoughts are mostly about the comic itself, and I've basically given them all. So I guess at this point, what do you think? What do you think of the original comic and how it gets a point, gets across the visuals of this scene that we heard about in the game but never actually directly saw? How do you think it portrays the different characters visually, and what do you think of just the story of it all? And what are your thoughts on Undertale? Let me know down below. And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.